So WIZZKWIZ tutorial 7, entering a bookwork question. So this time we're going to do new bookwork type question. We saw an example with Richard II speech. So this time we're going to do a poem by the famous If poem by Rudyard Kipling. So I'm going to do If Kipling poem. If I'm doing this at GCSE, we could put in key stage for English so that other people can find this. And I'm also going to put in, as usual, so I can find this question just myself, just to check it's working okay. So the question is going to be, complete the first verse of If by Rudyard Kipling. So now we put the whole complete bookwork text in here, so I can start typing this in. Okay, rather than actually typing it in, I'm just going to copy and paste it because I'm too lazy. I'm not going to do the whole thing because when we come to check it, it's going to take ages. So if I copy that, paste it in that, make sure you don't violate any copyright issues. And now, remember when we looked at the Richard II poem, we had different alternatives. So what you can do, you could put an alternative line in for each line and do that yourself. Okay? Or you could put in 3 alternatives for each line. So if I were to press blank alt now, what that does, it all looks a bit complicated, but now when the first line, that's the correct answer, I could put in alternative wrong answers here. If that's the correct answer for the second line, I could put in alternative wrong answers here. Okay, that's quite a faff to put in sensible answers for each one. So instead of doing blank alt that I've done there, I could do copy alt. Okay, now you're given exactly the same line for each of these, so you could just change 1 or 2 words. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. And the other thing you could do is random alt. Okay, where it just randomly picks lines that haven't yet been included, which is what we saw with the Richard II version. Okay, if I think there's too many different alternatives, I could take that down and just go back to copy alt. Okay, and now I could just go through and perhaps change 1 word. Okay, so if you can keep your head, okay, I could change that to, say, toes. Okay, when all about you are losing theirs and blaming, I'm going to put in their sweets. Okay, if you can trust yourself when all men, let's change that to women. Okay, but make allowance for their doubting too. There we could try just putting a sort of typo in there to throw people a bit. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting. So, fed up of waiting. Or being lied about, don't deal in lies. Or being lied about, don't get angry. Or being hated, don't give away to revenge. Trying to make them sensible so they're plausible, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. That don't look too silly or talk too much. Okay, so for each line of the poem now I've got a sensible alternative, so it's going to be a bit tricky to pick which one. It's going to genuinely sort of test my understanding. Don't have to put any comments in if I don't want to. So let's test that. Does that all look like it's working? Yep, that all looks fine. So submit question. ID 3285. Okay, so let's close the window. Put 3285 in there. I could put in DAH 2020-0213C if I want to, but I can just put that in. I will get the question I've just entered. Okay, so complete the first verse of If by Rudyard Kipling. If you can keep your head when all about you, so that's the correct one. Are losing theirs, I'm blaming it on you. Are losing their sweets, so yeah, that's the correct one. If you can trust yourself when all We've even managed to put a typo in there, so it's obviously the wrong one. Okay, but make allowance for their doubting too. So that was sort of grammar stroke typo. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give away to hating, and yet don't look too silly. I mean, I can remember, it's easy for me to do because I can remember the things I put in. So there we go. And we've got the right answer. There's a bit of a pause now. There's obviously a delay on the server because other people are using it, or other people are using the server for other things. But you can see there how easy that is to set up a question. And I mean, the easiest way of doing it is the randomized one. Okay, you have to put a bit of thought into that, but it makes it quite nice, and it's a fairly easy way of testing students are sort of learning their poetry reasonably well. Okay, and again, if you just want anything on Kipling, anything on poems, anything that's Key Stage 4 English, you can just put that in there. I think that will be the only question in there. There you go. Okay, so that's how we do a bookwork type question.